Hi, my name is Samaya Knight, and I'm an Instructional Technology Specialist supporting Dutchtown Elementary School. We're going to take a brief data overview to see how data has impacted the school over the course of 3 years. The purpose of the data overview is to understand literacy scores at Dutchtown Elementary and to understand how demographic changes affect those literacy scores. How is the data that is supporting current practices helping the literacy scores, and then ideas for next steps and actions. Let's take a look at the student demographic data. As one can see, the population of the school has grown and continues to grow. In 2014 to 2015, the student population was 755 students, increasing to 790 and slightly decreasing in 2016 to 17 to 788 students. For the most part, there has been a large influx of the student population, so we want to make sure that there are certain measures being put in place so that students receive all the support that they need. One of the reasons for this large influx in the population could be more families moving to rural Hampton, Georgia. It also could be families wanting to put their children in a safe learning environment such as Dutchtown Elementary. So there's a clear influx of students moving into the school and school system. As we look at enrollment by race and ethnicity, we see there is a large population of Black students. They make up 71% of the student population, with the other population of the students being Asian, which make up roughly 7% of the population, and there is no increase of their population. They've pretty much remained the same over the course of the 3 years. For Hispanic students, we see that there has been some growth in their population from 6% up to 8%. And then we see a decrease in the white population from 11% to 8% in 2016 and 2017. So we see a lot of the white students kind of moving out of the school, and then we see an increase in the Hispanic and Asian population, and with the Black population staying steady fast. That's about 71%. We also see a reduction in the amount of students eligible for free and reduced lunch. We see in 2014 to 2015 there were 386 students, and then it decreases by 381 in 2015 and 2016, and then it decreases again to 373 students in 2016 and 2017. One of the reasons could be a large amount of the students their parents are not reporting that they are eligible for free and reduced lunch. It also could be parents are not returning their applications for free and reduced lunch, but there's a clear decline in the population of students that are receiving free and reduced lunch. It also could be the population of students that receive these services are no longer at the school if they have moved. As we look at educational programs offered within the school, we see, for the most part, that gifted, we see a growth from 84 over the course of the 3 year, 84 students to 100, and then 102 students. We also see a large growth in the population of early intervention program students from 122 to a big shift to 170 students. So we want to make sure that we have specific teachers who can support those students to make sure that they're getting everything that they need as the gifted and early intervention program population increases. We don't see an increase in the special education population. It remains about the same of 100 students, and we don't see an increase in the limited English proficient. We actually see a decrease in the amount of students who are limited English proficient. As we look at English speakers of other languages, we also see a decrease from 2.6%. We do see a slight spike, a 3.1% increase, but then we see another decrease of 2.0%. So the amount of students who are speaking languages other than English have decreased, which means the amount of personnel that is needed to support these students will decrease as well. As we look at student retention rate by gender, we see for the most part that their females tend to be retained more than their counterparts, males, on average of about 55% female students over the course of 3 years. And then as we look at males, would average about 20% of those students being retained. For the most part, we see black and white students being retained. In 2014 and 2015, we had predominantly white students, but as we see, the trend has changed when we see predominantly black students are the ones who are being retained, which makes a lot of sense because the black students make up 71% of the population of students at the school. As we look at student attendance, the students where there's more than 15 days absent over the span of 3 years, we start at 7%, decreasing to 5.2%, and then increasing to 6.7%. So not a high population of students that have more than 15 days absent. We do have relatively a bit high of students who have 6 to 15 days absent, where we have an average of 33.2 here, and then we see an increase of 37.7%. This could be parents taking their students out on family vacations during the middle of the school year, an influx of students who are getting sick, but we know we do, for the most part, want to bring this number down of students that are absent 16 to 15 days. And then we also see students 5 or fewer days, 59.7, it increases to 61.6, and then it decreases to 55.5. So we do have a large amount of population of students who have occurred a lot of absences where they're out of school. And so specifically we want to look at what practices we can put in place to help reduce the amount of students absent out from school. As this, as we know in the long run, contributes to students' achievement levels. Now let's look at teacher data. As we look at teacher data, we see that predominantly, on average, there are about 51 teachers that work in the school. Most of these teachers are female teachers, but a small percentage being male. As we look at the race and ethnicity of teachers, in 2014-2015, we have 35 white teachers, and then it decreases over time from 26 to 25 white teachers. And then black teachers, we have 19 to 21 to 22. So for the most part, the predominant amount of teachers are black and white, and we see some multiracial Native American and Asian teachers supporting the students. As we look at teachers' years of experience, we have a low number of teachers that have less than 1 year, 6, then it decreases to 4, and then 2. So we don't have a large number that have less than 1 year. We do have a large number of teachers that have 1 to 10 years of experience. Those are our novice teachers. We have about 20, the range stays about the same from 22 to 23. So we want to make sure that we have support in places for those teachers as they begin to support students with literacy. We know that they may need extra help with content area. They may need extra professional development, mentors, things of that nature, as we have a larger amount of novice teachers as opposed to veteran teachers. Now let's take a look at our student achievement data. As we look at the student achievement data, one way to gauge student achievement and student success is our college and career readiness performance, our CCRPI scores. This score is based on 4 indicators. The 4 indicators that show the school's achievement are content mastery, progress, gaps, and readiness. So let's take a look at the school CCRPI scores. We are at 78% in the school in 2014-2015, and then we go from 78 to 75, so there is a big dip and down to 73%. And this slight dip could be because of the new state testing, when the state switched from CRCT to Georgia Milestone. The school also had a new administrator beginning in 2014 to 2015, so this could be why we see this big dip in scores. Also, the school had a new guided reading and writing program that they began. As we look at ELA integrated assessments, we're going to take a look at the years 2015 to 14 to 15, and then 15 to 16. We really want to see progress in proficient and distinguished learners. So we see on the school level, we go from 29% to 30%. We do decrease in the amount of distinguished learners from 7% to 3.5%. So we are making some growth. We are decreasing, are increasing from 35% to 39% in our developing learners. So these are the areas, beginning and developing, are the areas in which we want to see decrease. And we want to see increase in our proficient and distinguished. As we look at our end of grade assessments for ELA in 2016 and 2017, we increase from 30% to 31% on the school level, and then increase in the distinguished learners from 3.5 to 6.0%. So we are making some gains in the area of our end of grade assessment for students. Now we want to take a closer look at the trends for our ELA grade 3 assessments at reading at or above proficiency. On the school level, we're way above the county and state, which is great. But we start at 52%, going from 51, so we decrease. So we have this average of 52%. So we want to see why there is no growth in our grade 3 assessments. It could be the influx of limited English proficient students, our gifted students. We do have a high population of those students at our school. And we take a closer look, we see how those scores again have flatlined. And so we're not making any growth in our grade 3 assessments. As we look at our grade 5 ELA assessments at or above proficiency, we're scoring at 69%, which is a little bit above the county. And then we have this big increase from 80%, and then we have this big decrease of 76%. This big increase, a slight decrease here could again be the change in administration and a new literacy program. So we see this big change and increase in scores, but it goes down. Again, here's a more detailed look at the scores, ranging from 69, dipping up to 80, increasing, and then going back down to 76%. So we have seen some growth in the grade 5 ELA assessments. As we look at school-wide assessments, we look at the ELA reading and language arts scores for 3rd grade and 5th grade for our math scores. As we look at grade 3, we see that in language arts, from fall to spring of this year, they went from 47% for meet and exceeds to reading, 49% meet and exceeds. And then 5th grade, we have half the student population meet and exceeding from 56% to 51%. Again, we only see data for this 1 year from fall to spring because the school relatively did not look at MAP score data to help make decisions about literacy in the past. So as we look at the school data, what school factors are affecting literacy? Well, we know student attendance could be one. We know we have an increase in students who have high rates of being out of school. We know that there was 1 year when we had a change in school administration. Also, we have several teachers who have 1 to 10 years of experience. There's a new county ELA program that has been enforced where all teachers have to use it. So this has been a learning curve. And the district has begun a personalized learning initiative, which has been a new initiative and program that the school has begun, and the school is focusing on literacy instruction as well. Here are some questions to consider while thinking about the data. What additional support can be put in place to support early intervention in limited English proficient learners? As enrollment increases, what support measures are put into place to support the increase in students? How can the personalized learning goals benefit the students' progress in ELA? How can guided reading and writing instruction change to benefit all students? What professional development can be offered to teachers, and what support measures can be put in place to decrease the number of females being retained? Here are the next steps for Dutchtown. We want to think about how can personalized learning and guided reading and writing instruction be combined? How can the influx in technology support student achievement? How can the school continue to grow in English language arts? And how can teachers be supported to improve proficient and distinguished on the GMAS milestone. And thank you for your time and attention. Bye-bye.